Welcome to Indie Authors Tell All, where independent voices take the mic. This podcast is for those engaged in or interested in independent publishing, from writing to marketing and everything in between.
We're here to shine a light on real-world challenges and successes in independent publishing, straight from the people making it happen.
Every other week, we chat with Bay Area Independent Publishers Association members and industry professionals who are shaping the future of publishing and redefining what it means to go indie.
I'm Becky Parker Geist.
I'm Judy M. Baker.
And I'm Mike Van Horn.
Real stories, real challenges, real inspiration. Now, let's dive into what it takes to write, publish, and market your book, one story at a time. Hello, I am Becky Parker Geist, and this is Indie Authors Tell All. And today we're talking with Michelle St. Romain, author of Song of Belonging. Yes, welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
Good. So I always like to start at the very beginning and tell us a little bit about what got you started on your writing journey.
Yeah, so that is such a great question. It's one I actually love to ask people myself, because the real thought is, well, where do you start? So, I'm actually going to start really right back to what's on my mind. And I
Right.
keep thinking, because the book is about to come out in 2 weeks. It's my debut novel, and I'm thrilled. And I'm just going back to a moment when I was 5 years old. And my mother bought this little book subscription for me, and it would come in the mail. And I can remember every time it would come, I would just grab it, sit on the floor, open it up, and try to read it. And I can really have this literal memory of being 5 and holding a book and thinking, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And it has stuck in me so deeply. And I started writing then. This particular book has a really powerful trajectory. So it started really in my mind, truly, when I was 7 years old. And
Wow.
my great-grandmother, when she passed away, I was close to her, and she left me a green jewelry box. But she didn't tell me about it. The day after she passed away, her daughter, my great aunt, called me over by myself and gave it to me and said she wanted you to have this. Now, she had so many grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and I just remember standing there and thinking, why me? And she said, well, I'm actually not sure. But she was very clear she wanted you to have it. And I remember opening it and feeling such a sense of like the stories, what she was leaving behind, something she was leaving behind. And so the little writer in me, I think, began there to be fascinated with stories. And I used to ask lots of questions. My family goes back many generations in French Louisiana. And I just loved hearing stories. So this book is, the inciting incident is when this young woman who's in her 20s opens this jewelry box that had been given to her when she was 7 by her great-grandmother. And she hasn't opened it in a decade. And strange things begin to happen. From that point on, it's all fiction, but it is rooted in that moment.
That's cool. So curious, of course. When you were a child and you opened that box, was it an empty jewelry box, or was there?
It was empty. It was empty. In the story, it is not empty. And it has never been empty since. I immediately began to put my most treasured objects in it.
Yeah.
And they're still there. I have the joy box right here.
That's so great.
It's always been close to me. And it has things going back to when I was a little kid and gifts my brother made for me, all the way through high school, it's not very big. And what's in there is this true little treasure box of my life. In the story, there's a letter in it, which which begins Alice's journey. She's got to make sense. She didn't understand it when she was 7. At 28, she reads it differently.
Right.
And it's really kind of a roadmap for her, the
Wow.
quest.
That sounds really, really interesting. So one of the things that, of course, every author, when they publish, has to really get clear on is what genre your book falls into. And what genre are you writing in with Song of
Song of Belonging? Yeah.
Thank you.
So it falls into literary fiction, magical realism, Southern fiction. It's that. It's a lot of things. It's a bit of a genre bender, which I actually really like. It was a challenge to do.
Yeah.
Possibly not the smartest thing for a debut author to not follow a really tried and true path of this genre and this. And it was the story that's just been building in me so long. And it was not a story that fits clearly in one genre, but literary fiction certainly is what I've always read.
Yeah.
And my favorite authors have been the ones who tell stories that impact people that for me have stuck with me a long time. And almost all of them, they touch on big questions and mystery and what I like to think of as crossing between the veils, the mystery on the other side of whatever that means. And that linger with you. And that's how I experienced growing up in Louisiana in this French culture. It's a bit of mystery. It's a bit of, the mix of deep Catholicism that's part of the French culture. That is culture. It's not just religion. It is part of the culture. But they're in, so part of my family was in New Orleans, the other part in the Southwest Louisiana, but where the French culture was also mixed with so many other rich cultures, and just that blend of mystery and magic that I think is just natural to me.
Yeah.
I love that. So magical realism.
I love that. That's actually the same genre that I wrote my one novel in. I totally get that and love that. That's so cool. So this is your debut novel, so it's launching soon, right? Or by the time our listeners are listening to this podcast, it will have already launched. So that's exciting. And do you have a sense of, so we've identified the genre, do you have a sense of like who your target audience is? And I ask this partly because, again, this is one of those things, and sometimes I think it's one of the hardest things for us as authors to identify and get really clear on, like, who is our audience, especially when we're just launching our first, our debut books. Do you have a sense of who your target audience is?
Yeah, so that's another great question with another kind of layered and wonderful answer. The book is layered. The writing journey was layered.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of unraveling it. And so I'll say where I landed when I finished the book. And it was very a momentous moment. So I started it on Mother's Day in 2018. And I finished it the day I dropped my birth son off for college his freshman year. And I dropped him off at the University of Oregon. And then I saved the epilogue to write after I dropped him off, spent the weekend there, left him, and spent a ridiculous amount of money to stay right on the coast where I could feel the water spraying into my face in the room, and wrote it there and closed it in that space. When I finished it, then it became really clear to me that I feel that this story really was given to me in some ways by my female ancestors. It's a matrilineal story of the French culture in Louisiana, which I've not read much of, which is why I really wanted to write it, my own experience. And so then I realized I want this to land in the hands of the next generation. So that's in the big picture, because it's about a young woman finding her way in a complicated world, current day. And in this one, it really faces issues of what's happening to our environment and the choices we're making.
Yeah.
and how we all belong in this story and this moment. So as she, in this complicated world, is trying to make choices, she ends up being pulled back into stories of her ancestors, which ultimately help her find her way.
Mm.
And I believe that that's how we're going to find our way, is looking back to go forward.
Mm.
I think definitely it's finding its way to readers who love Southern fiction, readers who love dual timeline and history. It's a strong matrilineal story, relationships between mothers and grandmothers, a bit of magic, a bit of mystery, women healers, but where that's hidden. So I think it's all the people who are interested in that. And this is my debut novel, but I've co-published 2 poetry books, and that's actually what I studied in graduate school.
Nice.
And so the books, the writing really draws on that, years and years of writing poetry.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that people, I've heard people really respond to the way it's written in a way that is kind of has a poetic, but very grounded, I hope, very grounded feeling to it.
Yeah. Great. Well, I'm looking forward to it. So now, I'd love to hear about what you have found to be the biggest challenge so far in your publishing journey, because I know you're not all the way to that publication date yet.
Right. Rather than challenge, I think that the way I think of it is it's been an enormous learning curve.
Mm.
So 2 things. I mean, one is that I decided I wanted to challenge myself to learn how to write a novel, how to go beyond short pieces and fiction and short things I was writing and the professional work I've always done writing, which is shorter pieces of writing professionally in the nonprofit world, and teach myself how to write a long form, will carry a story to fullness. So that was its own learning journey. And through that, through all of it, my thoughts were, the desire to land a really big publishing contract and see where it landed, and all the while thinking, like most of us think, I'm not good enough. I can't, it won't happen, and all the doubts and all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And so I really did work hard. I did a year-long writing program that I was accepted to. I did all kinds of things to get the writing as strong as I could. And then when it was where I knew it was as far as I could take it, then I began that journey of publishing and exploring the different options. And I would say at this moment that I am in the camp, there's no one right way, that we're in this
Right.
changing multiverse here.
Yeah.
And that I applaud all of it, and that anyone who is writing and completing and following whatever path feels like the right path for their pieces of writing to get out in the world, like, is successful. And so for me, that's been the, and I could go on for a very long time about that, as I learned more and more about what it is, what each path, what you get, what your challenges are, where you have control, where you give up control, all sorts of things. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
not a straight line answer to that, but really just, I think so. If I think of it in terms of a challenge,
Yeah.
it was choosing to see it as a journey, and at each step learning what I could, make the best decision I could, and move forward from there. And I'm really thrilled with where I've landed.
Yeah. Great. You mentioned that the main character is feeling the challenges of what's happening in terms of our climate, our environment.
Yes.
And could you share a little bit more about that, and also about any like sea life in particular that you have brought into the story?
So I grew up in Louisiana, and then I moved to the West Coast. I lived in Sacramento and Davis, the Bay Area, Berkeley. And then I had the great gift of living in Hawaii for several years. Many great things happened in my life there. My son was born there, other things happened. And it was there that this lifelong real love I've had for the environment and nature and appreciation of it deepened in a way that I also became so aware of how short the chain is between our actions and impact. Because when you live on an island, it's really immediate. Like you realize I'm dumping this in the garbage can, and well, where is it going on
Right.
this little island? Where,
Yeah.
And it's not too far that it might be dumped out in the ocean when you live on a little ocean. At the same time, I was having this really wonderful experience of really seeing the incredible sea mammals that live there, the sea turtles that would come up and the monk seals I fell in love with, and so many others. And I was really fascinated by the ones that live between water and land. And I see now it's because I've always been fascinated with that in-between place.
Yeah.
So in particular, the sea turtles and the monk seals that go between those two worlds and kind of, are actually come up onto the shore.
Yeah.
I fell in love with them, and I watched some things happen that really alarmed and saddened me, of things that tourists who I must believe simply didn't realize it's not okay to go try to ride the back of a turtle in the wild, or or other things. And so with that, jump forward to the story. The animals kept surfacing in my dreams and kept surfacing in this story. So it was quite a process of linking it to the story I was writing. And Louisiana is so surrounded by water.
Right.
So this is the first of a trilogy about three sisters who grew up in New Orleans, and each one is left to unravel a different ancestor story that's been hidden. And each one is going to be working with a different current theme. And right now it's this one of taking care of the environment and how critical that is. And then the connections became very clear of the water that connects us all. The waterways in Louisiana that surround and shape everything there. And then you follow the path and it takes you right to the ocean where I was sitting watching this beautiful sea life. So, and then the final sea animal that came into it is the otter, because they're river and ocean.
Right.
And so those are the three that came into the story. And just briefly, Alice's journey is she's a writer. She wants to be a magazine writer. And she writes travel stories. And I won't go a lot deeper, but when she opens that box, she starts having her great-grandmother's memories, but she doesn't know that's what's happening. She thinks she's losing her mind.
Yeah.
As the reader then is reading about what happened in her great-grandmother's life in Louisiana. And it all begins to really kind of throw her whole world upside down until she has to really come face to face with all of it.
Yeah.
And the sea animals become teachers and really a symbol of choices she needs to make.
That is beautiful. I definitely have more questions for you, but let's just take a short pause and we'll come right back.
As an author, you know that writing a book is not easy, and that publishing and promoting it can be even harder. Wish you had fellow authors and professionals you could learn from, who would give you encouragement and guidance to get through the tough spots? That's what we offer at the Bay Area Independent Publishers Association, or BAIPA. We're a volunteer-run educational community dedicated to elevating the art and the business of independent publishing. Not in the San Francisco Bay Area? No worries. We have members from all over, and we meet monthly on Zoom. For just $10 a month, you get full membership benefits. Whether you're writing your next novel or children's book, launching a nonfiction book, building your author brand, or working with indie authors, BAIPA gives you the tools and the network to publish smarter, grow faster, and thrive independently. Visit BAIPA.org. That's BAIPA.org and join us today. Become part of a community that understands all the challenges of indie publishing and helps you get through them.
So, in your publishing journey, part way along the way somewhere, you joined BAIPA, Bay Area
Yep.
Independent Publishers Association. Tell us about when you joined and why you chose to join at the time.
I will. I joined about 6 months ago. And it was, I think, from meeting you at a conference.
I think it was. Yeah.
I really take to heart the I've done other professional work, and the literary work and the writing has always been a thing I've done a little bit in isolation and on my own. And but I truly believe in that idea of being a good literary citizen. I
Mhm.
believe in being a good citizen, period, of whatever communities you're in. And that's the first step to everything. So when I began writing and then realized I really am going to make the commitment to carry this as far as I can into publishing, I started a few years ago really making a point to attend conferences, to connect to things that I could online or whatever, to literary and writing and reading communities, or as I like to think of it, kind of just be a grown-up English major again and find all the people who, you know, who would have been that to me, and just learn and connect
Yeah.
and listen, so that when the time came that I wanted to offer my own work in the world, that I was already part of community
Yeah.
around that. And so I think it was at a conference actually that I met you and learned
Yes.
about it. And I lived in the Bay Area for a while. And so even though I live in Southern Oregon now, I'm very connected to the Bay Area still,
Yeah.
with lots of friends, and drive down often, and we have family there. And so it still feels very much like home. And so being connected has been really meaningful and really, really wonderful to me.
Yeah, that's great. And what would you say? So I know you've attended several meetings. We mostly meet on Zoom, although do have a couple hybrid meetings each year. What is there a segment of the meetings that you have found particularly valuable?
I think what's most valuable to me is number one is just making those really great connections,
Right.
learning what others are doing, and just hearing what's happening in the larger world and being just part of that, like a group of people together moving forward.
Yeah.
And it's something that I haven't ever really articulated before, but I think that being part of groups like this really helps to really get rid of any place in there that can creep in, where we can be, you feel like you're competitors, and we're not.
Right. Yeah.
We all love books, and we all love stories, and we all love writing. I go back to how many of us were five holding a book. And
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't five, maybe it was 15 with some great English teacher, or maybe it was 30, but we're all in this together. And that, I think that the collaboration and connection
Yeah.
that groups like this provide really go deep in the way of all of us moving forward together and bringing writing into the world.
Yeah. Can you imagine if there was only one author in the world? Like, I mean, we would
But
be
then no.
so starved for content, so starved for stories, we just,
Mhm.
and we each have our own very unique approach to each story. And generally, I think whatever genres we tend to write in are usually the ones that we especially love to read or
Mhm.
listen to. And I know that's certainly true for me. So, yeah, there's no way that any one of us could be the sole author in the world. We really need each other, and we really are, um, bringing all of that forward. So,
Right.
have you found that the presentations that you've been to, so on our regular monthly meetings, we have a speaker who will speak on any number of different topics, different industry leaders who come forward. Have you found that that aspect of the meetings have been valuable to you in your journey?
Those are all really valuable. And I think that what I appreciate is the breadth of content, the way there's things offered for people at all phases of the writing and literary journey.
Yeah.
which helps, I think, way back when I studied English, which was a long time ago. There was a sense as I moved up to the upper classes and then was trying to figure out if I wanted to go on to get my graduate degree in that, which I did later. But at the time, I decided not to because I was concerned about a feeling of like that, the gatekeepers that more and more, and it becomes more elitist and more around, I don't know, someone decides you deserve to be here
Right.
rather than you choose to be here because we have something to say, because this is our art form.
Right.
It does not ever leave us. And so I appreciate, when there's a range of offerings that invites everybody in at every stage and can help to level that sense
Right.
that it's only the chosen few belong here.
Right. Yeah. The idea of the gatekeeper, that, yeah, it's kind of ubiquitous in so many places in our world. And that's one of the things I love about independent publishing is that it's like there's no gatekeepers. We can
Mhm.
really own our stories and own our own journey and the process, and really live into what we feel compelled, really, usually, right, to bring forth. I think it takes a lot of commitment, a lot of persistence,
Mhm.
and passion, really,
Mhm.
to bring these stories all the way to publication and to sharing them with the world.
And with that, what I think about that persistence, it's so I'm at a point in my life and career that, well, I'll say, I'm right in that little. I'm a Boom X, so I
Hmm.
was right between the Boomers and the Gen Xers.
Hmm.
Um, so actually, I'm thrilled to say I'm publishing my first book at 60, and that was my goal, was before 60. And so here I am. It's coming out before I turn 61. I know I have things to offer
Yeah.
because I did go to graduate school when I had a word processor or a typewriter before that, when if I made an error, I had to take the whole piece of paper out and redo it again. So I won't go into that long story, but it's fascinating to me. And that all in between, there's so many things. And I love being with people for whom social media, they have such skill. And so I can do that, but it
Hmm.
was not my first language,
Right.
uh, professionally and otherwise, or people who come from just different, there's diversity, bringing that diversity together of age and background and cultures and parts of the country, genres attract. I think there's different types of people potentially attracted to write and read different kinds of genres.
Hmm.
And I learned something from all of it. Like I'm thrilled to death at these spaces where there's diversity of where we can all just keep learning together and growing together.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there, based on your experience so far in your own journey, is there advice that you would give to someone who is maybe even newer to the process than you are?
I think that's such an interesting question. So I'm going to start with the very honest answer that I can remember so many times reading, just keep writing, says the Pulitzer Prize winner. Says the person who's hit the New York Times bestseller list 5 times. And I appreciate that. And always sitting back and thinking, that's easy for you to say,
Yeah.
and I'm raising 3 kids and I'm exhausted and I'm working full time. And I will say now, it's true to just keep going. And the way I hold it though now is what I believe deeply is that the arts are imperative to the human race and the whole, like, more than the human race.
Yeah,
Again, I'm
absolutely.
falling in
Yeah.
love with the sea animals.
Yeah.
The arts get past our linear thinking. The arts have a way of connecting us when we may have ideological differences, but the arts can connect us.
Yeah.
Um, During the pandemic, where did we turn? We turned to the arts,
Yeah.
while we waited for the answers to come in other ways, but it was the
Hmm.
arts, and so with that, I believe that we all have a creative spark in us, and that whatever our art is, whatever that pull is, it's imperative that we do it for that reason, because it is ours to do, because it is the natural thing to do.
Yeah.
And then from that, let it keep leading you to where it's going to take you. So it could take you to publishing, it could take you to teaching, it could take you to leading something behind for your kids that really impacts them, or a million other things. And to not get locked into, here's the goal for all of us, because that's not it.
Right.
It's let it lead us and let it lead you, but stay with it, because it's your thing to do and the world needs it. And
Right.
and I believe that each one helps find its own way in the world.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Mhm.
What would you tell somebody who might be considering joining BAIPA?
Oh, I think definitely it's a great thing to join. I think, as I've said, the what I am seeing now, what I'd hoped for is what I'm seeing now. 2 weeks out from my book being published, the generosity of spirit of people who I've connected with, in all kinds of ways in the literary world, including BAIPA,
Yeah.
is opening doors and helping me, because I joined a community. I'm joining communities. And so it's not me trying to push forward and push myself and my thing in front of everything else in the moment, even though there's a way that's, if you want to put your book in front of people.
Right.
But becoming part of a community just isn't this empowering thing that has gifts you can't even see are going to come.
Yeah.
And you don't know, you might meet the person who leads you to a class that is the next thing that helps you write your thing, or it opens a door for you to something you never knew was possible in the way of getting your work out in the world, or there's just an inspiration for you or more. And so I just think,
Yeah.
do it.
That's great. And tell our listeners where they can learn more about you and find your books.
Sure. So the book will be for sale. So it's for sale anywhere books are sold. It is published by an independent publisher, She Writes Press. Simon & Schuster is the distributor for that, so it's pretty widely accessible. And people can, if you go to my author website, that'll give more about the book, more about my story, more about like what I'm doing with book clubs. And it also has links to where to buy it. And so my author website it's my name, www.michellesaintromain.com. That's a mouthful, but there's no period or anything. It's MICHELLESTROMAIN.com. And I am also thrilled because I have a lot of great book events coming up. In Oregon, I'll be at the Bay Area Book Festival. I'll be at the She Writes table on Saturday at the Bookworm Party. I'll be on a panel on Sunday at 4:00 with the Women's Lit Collective. And I will be, there's several others as well. So if people go to my website, they can see where you can find me an event, but you could also reach out. I'm open to doing more and love to connect with book clubs or do events at bookstores or wherever anyone's interested in learning about the book.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Michelle St. Romain, author of Song of Belonging. Would you like for our listeners who are also watching this on YouTube so they can see, would you hold up your book cover
I'd love
one more
to.
time?
I'm in love with the book cover.
It
has
beautiful.
The spiral, which is really important in the story, and the ocean and the stars, and it's got the seal and the turtle and the otter.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, so.
All right. Well, Michelle, thank you again for taking this time with us today here on Indie Authors Tell All, and wishing you the very, very best on your book launch.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to Indie Authors Tell All, a podcast from the Bay Area Independent Publishers Association.
Be sure to subscribe so you never miss our bi-weekly conversations with authors, publishers, and experts who keep indie publishing vibrant.
You can learn more and join our community at BAIPA.org. That's BAIPA.org. You don't have to live in the Bay Area to join us, since we're live on Zoom for all our events. You can email your questions and feedback to us at podcast@baipa.org. That's podcast@BAIPA.org. Thanks so much for joining us on the Indie Authors Tell All podcast.